At the turn of the 20th century, Lagos had emerged as a social, economic and political force to reckon with in the whole of the northern and southern protectorates, areas which, when merged in 1914, became Nigeria. In the following decades, these positions were consolidated as Lagos became the hotbed of political activism and the social conscience of the nation. With these rich political and socio-economic advantages, Lagos was launched into statehood in May 27 of 1967. At creation, Lagos State, the smallest in Nigeria, can best be described as a developing national agglomeration. It also retained its position as the nation's capital until December 12, 1991. In terms of infrastructure and other indices for measuring development, it was a work in progress, yet its path as a pace setter and being the first among equals appeared to be well cut out. The founding fathers recognized the state's opportunities and potentials and set out early enough to do the groundwork to harness resources that would place the state on good pedestal of development. The first 3 years, 1967 to 1970, was therefore a stage for laying the foundation of the state's greatness as the pioneer administration busied itself with the provision of structures and systems for governing the state.
Lagos State, when we got it, it was a cosmopolitan city. And we have it at a stage of development that I feel that we have to develop it further to meet the yearning of in the 21st century of people of Lagos. They built the Eco Bridge, and we went into building some other infrastructures, depending on what area of people's life you want to touch on, like health, agriculture, and we went about this by taking the bull by the horn.
I would readily say so, because I was part of those few years. As Federal Commissioner for Works and Housing, I worked very, 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 very closely with the governor of Lagos State, and he set down the standards in terms of fiscal development.
And Silva described as a progressive time of Lagos from that time.
Each governor had its own challenges. Governance is not a one-off thing. It's an everlasting thing. We inherit something, somebody starts somewhere. I was talking about the West Regional government that turned Ikeja into an industrial estate. That was how it was developed. That was their own foresight at that time, and that was their own plan. When Governor Johnson took over, when Lagos State was created in 1967, he had to build on that.
From 1970, the outcome of the incubating years began to manifest in forms of new economic and social infrastructure, with the upgrading and transformation of existing public utilities. For instance, the vision to integrate all constituent parts of the state led to the conception of the articulated transportation modes. These featured a ring road design that strategically linked Ekpe by the construction of the Itoikin Bridge to Ikorodu, Ikeja and Badagry. It followed up with partial implementations of the first, second and third axial roads comprising Apapa Ikeja Expressway, Ikorodu Road, new Kata and Eko bridges before their construction was transferred to the federal government. The regime reclaimed the present Victoria Island from Bar Beach shoreline and built Eko Bridge and the Badagry Expressway.
To get to Badagry, when Lagos was created, you had to go to Ota, Agege Motor Road, Sango Ota, then Aori land to Badagry. But one of the first things Bolaji did was to revive the plan and execute that plan of a road from Lagos, Igomu, Surulere to Badagry. There was that direct link. You don't need to go through what was then Western states. Later on, of course, the road to Epe, although it was 2-lane at that time, was also put in place.
Lagos State have been very lucky, especially when you think in terms of the founding fathers. For most of the plans he put on are the ones the various governors are more or less improving upon.
As the enabler of development, the focus on infrastructural development played significant roles in accelerating the growth of the state. It also ensured a conducive environment for the economy to thrive.
I focused my administration on the rural areas. My attention was more on the settings of the rural areas. Babangida Tuha, again before I got in here, or I became the governor of Lagos State, he had this program of, I think, the 4 or 5 programs of rural development and so on. So my thinking and his own thinking just keyed into each other.
We had our programs for the housing and the rural infrastructures. So Lagos State was on the verge of expanding more when we came in, and we tried to build on that. It was a stage that was on the move. More people were coming into the state, and most of the infrastructure could not stand it. So the focus was more on making people, feel, have roof over their heads and be able to move around.
The primary focus was how to sustain peace and gain the confidence of the people of the state. And this, I think, will be very successful.
More than physical development, I have a totally different philosophy too. Neither society nor governance is just based on physical development, but most important is how does the body politic advance in many respects. One, in respect of people having greater opportunities, in respect of greater security, in respect of hope, and then in a way in respect of building up not only the immediate area, Lagos State, but also building up when we all had a hope.
The leadership here, they are serious-minded people.
What I see in terms of physical development, for example, in Lagos could not be better.
During that period, institutions, right from primary to tertiary, were being advanced. Lagos State Polytechnic was started then. Many more primary schools have been done. So, in terms of relativity, a lot was done. That didn't mean that, of course, the whole place was turned into El Dorado or paved with gold. No, the infrastructure in place that requires to be attended to, that also required to keep expanding, as such as play their own effect, multiplier effect on the balance of the country. So,
indeed, Lagos' position as the federal capital offered compelling reasons for the pursuit of strong infrastructural base, from the period of the oil boom through the gradual decline in the national economy to modern times.
That infrastructure will bring development, create jobs, add value to people's property. No other state in this country is investing in infrastructure for the sake of the people as much as Lagos? No.
In the mid-70s, Lagos held her own. There were many defining infrastructure interventions that also had very significant architectural statements that competed on a global basis. And from the Nitel building, the Eko Bridge, the third mainland bridge, one of the longest at the time when it was built in the whole of the sub-region, with the work that has been done since 1999 to date, Lagos is recompeting again. Lagos is taking on very, very massive infrastructure interventions that will make her competitive again.
Lagos is developing in various directions like an octopus.
Financially, the state took off with a sum of £10,000. The quest for speedy development made it to participate in the preparation and implementation of 3 national development plans: the 1970 to 1974, the 1975 to 1980, and the 1981 to 1985 development plans. The objectives of these plans were similar, and they formed the basis for the financial and economic policy of the state government. This policy, which has been sustained till today, centered around growing the economy through investments on productive sectors, emphasizing on projects with the highest rate of return, increasing and diversifying the state's agricultural production, and stimulating the development and growth of industries. These include the creation of employment opportunities, raising the standards of living through investments in social services, and the mobilization of revenue sources for optimum returns. It also seeks to explore other revenue sources at state and local government levels.
Lagos is a megacity. Lagos was described as, by a former president of this country, as a jungle place. And we Lagosians were determined to make the brilliant showcase of Lagos.
Lagos is also unique in that it is, I make no apologies about this, I've said this many times, it's the best administered territory in Nigeria. And because of the quality of governance, which has been getting better consistently over a number of years, it's easier to get many things done in Lagos than in most parts of the country.
As the impact of these policies began to unfold, Lagos became the center of attraction to people from far and wide. The influx resulted in geometric increase in population with its attendant pressure on socio-economic infrastructure and its services.
Lagos will always, there's no doubt in my mind, Lagos will always remain the economic hub of West Africa, not just Nigeria, of West Africa.
No state in this country is receiving of migrants from other parts of the state. The population density, the vehicular density, the economic, development of the state. You cannot succeed and organize a respectable society or a state without infrastructural development.
To meet the demands of governance and development, it was therefore clear from the onset that Lagos cannot totally depend on federal allocation. The first budget of the state simply divided into revenue estimates of £10,511,640 and expenditure estimate of £10,313,950 confirmed this reality. In 1972, Akintola Williams Committee on Internal Revenue was set up to carry out a survey of existing revenue sources and to develop new ones.
When I got in here, I think the revenue of Lagos was about 500-600 million. But by the time we were leaving, I think it was increased to 2.5 billion. So, and I'm happy, like I said, Lagos have been very lucky. Most of the governors coming, they started improving on the IGR.
trend from 1980 showed a gradual increase in tax revenue from about 138 million in that year to over 239 million naira in 1987. Further commitments by the government pushed the figure beyond 1 billion naira in 1992. By 1999, the engagement of consultants, especially by the then Colonel Mohammed Buba Marwa's regime, shot the figure higher before the financial re-engineering pioneered by Asiwaju Bola Tinubu's administration.
There were no funds simply to meet up what we needed to do, even when I prioritized to security and roads. So the magic was a man called Otumba Adekonla. I was introduced to him, and he was actually the man who turned around the IGR.
I have a very dedicated and loyal people. Lagos is indigent, but we have created the opportunity for people to realize their dreams. We are kids of circumstances. We are leaders of providence. We know we will have crawling bruises if we start on our knees. But as we take this challenge for inheritance for our children and grandchildren.
Tinubu tried, because when he came, I think he radicalized the whole system concerning the revenue. Lagos today, they can do without the support of Abuja.
And it's been increasing consistently. Even in this, recession, it hasn't gone down.
It's not just being prepared for raining day. We prepare for the flood of economic disaster and frustration that was coming.
The credit to everybody in Lagos State for their cooperation, because if they don't cooperate, then even some of these things.
With a strong and progressive financial backbone, Lagos State has had it good in terms of continuous development. This has rubbed off on various sectors through the efforts to provide a conducive environment for individuals and organizations' productivity.
The business environment is very good. It has been very, very promising. It encourages people of all the states. Lagos State has done extremely well.
This has been great. I never ever imagined that our company was going to sort of grow this big. But we thank to Lagos. Because if the environment wasn't good, I would have checked out a long time ago.
The business environment in Lagos State is thriving, it's very active, it's very engaging and stimulating.
In the whole of West Africa, Lagos is #1. It's the best place. You bring anything to sell and you sell it. It's the best for business.
For instance, the transportation sector had witnessed several changes and transformations that have enlarged its capability to provide an integrated, intermodal, multimodal services for the people. The upgrading and expansion of health facilities and services has turned around the state healthcare delivery system with greater focus on preventive, maternal and child care. The education sector, in spite of its phenomenal growth, remains formidable in terms of developing young minds as it continues to receive various forms of interventions to ensure a conducive environment for teaching and learning.
More than physical development, I have a totally different philosophy too. Neither society nor governance is just based on physical development, but most important is how does the body politic advance in many respects. One, in respect of people having greater opportunities, in respect of greater security, in respect of hope, and then in a way in respect of building up not only the immediate area, Lagos State, but also building up when we all had the hope.
The leadership here, they are serious-minded people.
What I see in terms of physical development, for example, in Lagos could not be better.
From the time of the Lagos Executive Development Board, the LEDB, the housing sector is still growing in leaps and bounds through the Lagos State Development and Property Corporation. the Ministry of Housing, numerous private property development organizations, and individual efforts. The environment and waste management sector has been taken through no less outstanding phases, such as the introduction of the private sector participation, the PSP, and the waste to wealth programs. This has led to an improved sanitation and public health.
In 1928, we had the bubonic plague in Lagos Island, which was very, very devastating. A lot of people died then, and this was due to insanitary living conditions. So that was what led to the creation of Lagos Executive Development Board, which led to the development of areas around Okwawo, Dosumo, Idumagbo, and these other areas, which was central. They prepared a scheme, which was a central Lagos scheme. So they moved the people from out of that place to Akerele, to rehabilitate them.
For security and safety, it has been a story of purposeful change through the support of the organized private sector and philanthropists. Lagos now operates a new security architecture that has reduced criminal activities, making the state more business and investor friendly.
And the purpose was to prevent crime. But should it fail and crime occurs, is to defeat it. And to be able to do that, we had to build necessary infrastructure in terms of equipment, mobility, communications, motivation of the men. We did all this, and at any point in time, we had at least 300 patrol vehicles patrolling the streets. But what people didn't know was that we had also about 200 cars, but not marked, doing the same job around.
With all of these, Lagos has emerged stronger and better positioned for statehood to the extent of competing with countries in terms of data and statistics. From a fledgling and few industrial concerns, the state has grown to be Nigeria's industrial, commercial, and economic hub with 22 industrial complexes and over 10,000 commercial concerns. The Free Trade Zone, located in the state, is fast becoming the nation's largest industrial hub.
Lagos is a very big center for business, a commercial capital. Anyhow you look at it, it's both the commercial and economic capital of Nigeria.
The Lekki Deep Sea Port is an ongoing project where the Nigerian Ports Authority and Lagos State Government are shareholders. We believe that such deep sea ports are required. There's also an approval for the Badagry Deep Sea Port, which would also come on board, and it will be in Lagos State. So that would expand the horizon of Lagos State and increase its dominance in the maritime industry.
Additionally, its strategic position and prime location in West Africa readily provides abundant windows of opportunities for investors that guarantee returns on investments. Consequently, 18 of the Fortune 100 companies operate here.
It is where you can call the commercial nerve center of Nigeria. Every other thing happens in other states for different reasons. But as far as business is concerned, Lagos is where you need to be.
Lagos is home to Nigeria's capital and money markets. It is the kernel of aviation activities and the nation's telecommunication and media hub. It accounts for 90% of foreign trade flow and 70% of total national cargo freight through the Apapa and Tinkan ports, the busiest terminals in West Africa. Lagos is also the second largest contributor to Nigeria's gross domestic product and a leading contributor in the non-oil sector.
Banking and financial sector services would thrive when the following are present. One, you need to have demand for your services. And that also brings up the issue of the population, the issue of the market. It has to be there has to be demand there. And the presence of large manufacturing entities, the presence of other commercial activities, the presence of trading, the presence of hoteling, the presence of any kind of business activity you can think of.
they are all in Lagos. If it's not in Lagos, then it means that business is particularly not going to be a particularly large one.
There's a thriving business community. There's a thriving environment for any cargo that is brought into the country, comes into Lagos. In certain instances, the cargo is unbundled, warehoused, and initial sales starts from Lagos.
Which other port can you compare to the port of Lagos? That's the point of entry of the world into Lagos.
Population density in Lagos is higher than any other part of West Africa or the whole of Sub-Saharan Africa for that matter. However, the facilities in Lagos are also significantly higher. So when you take Lagos consumption per capita, Lagos electricity per capita, Lagos road infrastructure, if you take the number of branches of commercial banks, over 30%, or between 25 and 30% of all the commercial bank branches are in Lagos.
In Africa's economy, Lagos' gross national product triples that of any West African country. It is the node of the West African Gas Pipeline Project, Nigeria's nexus of Trans-African Highway, and the Sub-Sahara Africa's largest information communication technology ICT market. With an economic size that is the 5th largest in Africa, if it were a country, Lagos is designated Africa's financial center.
It goes without saying, if Lagos has the largest number of concentration of human beings in the country here, more than almost about 20 million people, and with the number of industries and businesses in Lagos, it has to be the #1 financial center in Africa.
With such commanding statistics, it is no surprise that Lagos is full of hope and abundant economic opportunities. These are the magnets that continue to attract people into the state. According to a 1963 national census figures, the population of Lagos was 1,443,568. By the end of 1985, it had grown to over 7,300,000 with an annual growth rate of 8%.
Population is always an asset anywhere. Population is never a liability. When you live in Lagos, when you work in Lagos, when you do business in Lagos, you can't but feel the pulse and the attention of this large number of people in Lagos. For economy of a location to thrive, there must be a large population, demand, the market. The market is there. That's #1.
The people make Lagos tick. The cosmopolitan nature of Lagos makes it tick. The admixture of cultures also makes it tick.
The more you have a large number of people concentrated in certain environment, you should be able to harness their resources. You should be able to deploy them in terms of labor, in terms of various industrial activities, and they will also be able to generate and contribute to the GDP of the nation.
Today, with a population estimated at over 20 million, comprising highly exciting, active, upwardly mobile, and a very accommodating people, particularly a rapidly growing middle class with a high purchasing power, Lagos State is West Africa's most urbanized cosmopolitan, Africa's urban agglomeration, and a global megalopolis.
So Lagos has its unique features, and this brought in the trade, the trading, every development that is in the world. You see it, coming up in Lagos, and everybody believes that when you come to Lagos, you have to make it.
Coming into Lagos, you feel the energy, you feel the buzz, you feel the presence of opportunities. You feel that there is this state has an enabling environment for prosperous business interactions.
Even before the time it was created, the in thing was Lagos. It's like see Lagos and die, and it still is. Despite the fact that Abuja is the capital, you can't take anything from Lagos, because God has made Lagos to be Lagos in terms of all the natural endowments.
There's even no basis of making comparisons because it's by far larger than the second that we want to rank, any other state that will rank second. The distance is quite afar.
So to the extent that we manage the immigrant population of Lagos, I think we did a good job because we provided an environment in which so many people thrived, irrespective of where you came from. The important thing was, did you feel Lagos at heart? Did you feel Lagos as your home? Did you feel Lagos as a place you could protect? Did you feel Lagos as a place you could contribute to? And all those who take those answers positively found a place where their full ambitions were met and realized successfully.
Instructively, the story of Lagos is not only about the big individuals or corporations, but also about everyday people, those in offices, factories, construction sites, markets and shopping malls, including the ones hustling on the streets, who constitute the major workforce and a ready market for goods and services.
We harnessed that immigrant culture. Everybody participated. It wasn't just the indigenes.
The contribution of Lagos to Nigeria goes beyond the economy. The state, from inception till date, has a robust plan for grassroots sport development. This support has led to the discovery of sporting talents that brought glory to the state and to the nation.
If you're a sportsman in Lagos State, you're exposed to a lot of things. One, you can have scholarship if you're in school, to whether the university you want to go to, or name it. Being a sportsman, you get a job too easily. You are well recognized as a sportsman and sports lady. Look at the deficit of this area now, the stadium you have here. They have pitches for all of us to train. They have a Agege stadium. Lagos State wants to take National Stadium now. And they have all the things like that they're doing.
Lagos has recorded tremendous growth and expanded on other fronts. The film, fashion and entertainment industries have grown so phenomenally, such that the state is being referred to as Africa's emerging entertainment capital. It has become the home of aspiring and established fashion freaks, designers and entrepreneurs, including film and musical artists.
Music industry, film industry is creating jobs.
The beauty industry has really improved in terms of what we used to do. Now we have added other things about body care, facial care and all of that. The fashion industry has also improved. I would say that the beauty industry has surpassed the fashion industry.
The incredible energy of the state is also expressed in the growth of fashion, film and entertainment activities, strengthened by a booming nightlife with regular hosting of fashion, film and musical shows. Lagos State boasts of the presence of good hotels and relaxation centers, a variety of international dishes and cuisines with local delicacy. Engbeti, the state's foremost heritage, is rooted deep in commerce. This is fired by the undying entrepreneurial spirit trailed with many success stories.
Engbeti, that is more or less the boundary of the island. And that's where you had all the trading and commerce happening. So if you want to do business or whatever, you go to the back. People went in there, business was buoyant, people made lots of money there. People were so sure that the amount of commerce and the successes that people are going through there, there's no way it can end. And as long as we continue to have buoyancy and trade and commerce in that area, Lagos is home dry.
The 170-kilometer precinct and exotic sandy beaches with beautiful lagoon fronts, historical sites like the Sungbo Eredo, slave relics and Sato drummers in Badagry, Adamu Orisha or Eyo Play and the Fanti Carnival on the Lagos Island, Ebi and Kayo Kayo festivals in Ekpe are among heritages with huge tourism potentials. Indeed, Lagos Eyigbeti Heritage supports creativity and entrepreneurship and promotes diversification.
Wherever you were from, there was a role for you, whether in the public service, whether in the appointment to parastatals, whether in the recognitions that we gave to people who had contributed to our state. Some of the parks we named, some of the public buildings that we dedicated to people were not just to Lagosians by birth and descent, they were to Lagosians by choice who had made Lagos their home. And that helped cement the sense of belonging, that if I play by the rules, if I obey the laws, if I pay my tax, and if I work hard, which were the things that made Lagos what it was, I will have a role in this society.
Somehow or the other, Lagos develops its own culture, which started long ago, right from the time of even the Portuguese, the Aquito years, the this, and you name it. They developed a culture itself, whereby it was more of people from within, say, Odua land come, different people from outside come, and since even the colonial master, of course, came around and do what they did, see what happened. Because if you even take that, there was a time when Calabar was to be capital of Nigeria, and in talking days of Lugard and all that might I say have made it to be Kaduna. In spite of that, you have got all the other things that it takes to make what Lagos is made of.
Because the people of Lagos were friendly to others, now Port Harcourt could easily have been 10 times Lagos if people had perceived the same friendliness. Because Port Harcourt had access to the sea, and ports, and the oil was right there. But the oil business had to pass through Lagos to go towards the Niger Delta because Lagos was more friendly and accommodating.
I believe solidly in Lagos, and I got all my investments, everything in Lagos. Lagos is the gold mine of Nigeria.
Like other parts of Nigeria, Lagos State has considerable dose of foreign influence expressed in the form of architecture, arts, dressing, language, amongst others. More so, the state is an essentially traditional and religious society with different cultural and religious practices. It reflects a good mix of tradition and modernization, religion and culture. It is also a socio-cultural melting pot with huge cultural diversity and heterogeneity. These are sustained by traditional and religious institutions attended by people who are tolerant and cosmopolitan in approach and outlook. Indeed, Lagos is home to everyone.
Our forefathers accommodate everybody, and there's nowhere in Nigeria, even in West Africa, that people are well accommodated than Lagos.
And Lagos is generous. Is where, you can come out of your house hungry in the morning, but you will not go home hungry.
It's a thing that has been in Lagos all along, because you find Lagos as a place where many people from the whole country, they all come to Lagos and they are accepted.
It's a home of hospitality. We receive people with open arms and with joy in our heart.
Lagos is a state of religious harmony, because since I've been to Lagos, there had never been any crisis between Christians and Muslims, but everybody have been living together in harmony. The average Nigerian is a religious person. I believe the various religious organizations have been satisfying the spiritual needs of the inhabitants of Lagos State.
With over a century of occupying a prime position in the national consciousness, 50 years of statehood, and over 26 years after relocation of the federal capital to Abuja, the state remains Nigeria's political heartbeat. Here, the political tunes are set and the pace dictated. With the help of a vibrant press that pricks the conscience of the nation, It is the favorite and commanding place for political meetings, mobilizations, rallies, campaigns, and protests. Events that are usually done with a lot of difference and swag. Simply put, Lagos is where the action is.
We are well educated. Yes, we have a superior education system. Our founding fathers were highly educated Nigerians. You have the first newspaper, of blessed memory, Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe started it here in Lagos. And Bamidele and all his sons were named here. Lagos is a melting point. It's microcosm of what we call Nigeria. And we didn't reverse that.
Every election cycle, it's a given that you must calculate, you must put Lagos into your calculation based on its sheer numbers.
From the days of the 4 civil servants, popularly called the 4 musketeers, through the first civil commissioners and permanent secretaries to what it has become today, the history of Lagos State will be incomplete without the public service, which has grown so phenomenally and is reputed to be the best in Nigeria.
When I got in here, like I said, I was lucky to meet relatively, will I say, good civil servants. The civil service was perfect, I must confess. And the permanent secretaries and the secretary of the government, they were ready to work very, very hard to sustain the name of that state.
In addition to maintaining all significant functions of the public sector that affect the society, Lagos State Public Service has and continues to initiate, formulate and execute policies for the development of the state. Its enormous contribution is no doubt one of the reasons why the state is the first amongst equals.
I think we have one of the best civil service in the whole of the Federation. We have a lot of fantastic, well-seasoned administrators. They know their onions.
Working closely with the public service is the political leadership. Fortunately, the state has been blessed with visionary, energetic and highly committed leaders who piloted its affairs at one time or the other. From the pioneer military governor who adopted integrity, fiscal discipline and financial astuteness as the cornerstone of governance, successive leaders supported by members of their executive councils took the state through outstanding phases dotted with remarkable achievements and giant strides.
We approached governance with a human face. Though we were in uniform, we did not necessarily use a big stick. We listened to what people needed or wanted to happen, and we tried to do that.
Lagos is a mini Nigeria. It should be this idea of continuity rather than you come and you leave the job and the other man will start his own at the end of the day. And that has been the problem of the federal government. I think they should try and learn from Lagos.
I left Lagos better than I did. And I think that every government that has come before me has left Lagos essentially better. And so from the first governor, Governor 1, to me, Governor 13, everybody has added value.
On the strength of their visions and the demonstrated ability to transform them into concrete realities, they rolled up their sleeves and deployed an impressive managerial and administrative acumen typical of transformational leaders. Interestingly too, the governors and the administrators have been the state's biggest brand ambassadors.
I have a listening government. I've been close to various governors in Lagos State, from Asiwaju Tinubu when he was governor of Lagos State, to Fashola, and also the present one, I've always been in Lagos State and I know all of them. And everybody is following, improving of what was started by their previous people. That is why there's continuity.
Anybody coming down here to rule Lagos must start thinking of in terms of ruling the whole country.
If you have a governor, some of the governors, you remove somebody like Ambode and you bring them, you'll be very shocked at how much or how fast all this development can just crash.
For Lagos, the ability of people to find individual expression and fulfillment is a major virtue that sets it apart from other states. This is because the state continuously reinvents itself, making it retain the status of a force to reckon with within Nigeria. The state has also remained consistent at achieving her objectives and policy thrust by taking advantage of her demography, abundant water resources, the people, and diversities.
The size of the market, the diversity of the market, the demography of the market, the situation of the market, it is at the central point, both from the north of Africa to the south of Africa, from the east of Africa to the west of Africa. So it is well and strategically located.
Lagos, the first to get in contact with the international world. The geographical location of Lagos. You have the sea, so it's easier for anybody to get in contact with this thing, even the educational aspect. So when you look at the uniqueness of Lagos, even if they were not to move the capital, in fact, if they were not to move the capital, it would have been a disaster for us.
Many of us started from Lagos. Almost every successful business person, they all started from Lagos. If they had started in some other states, they would definitely blossom in Lagos. So it has to qualify as the state and Lagos itself as a city that nurtures dream and fulfills people's ambition and people's initiatives and people's visions.
Lagos has, it does. Even myself personally, I had a dream. I came to Lagos. I didn't actually come to Lagos just to watch the ocean. I came here to do business. And it's not just to come and see Atlantic, sea. No, I came here to do business, and it's been a very, very great place for doing business. I've been here now for 39 years, and out of and that's why anytime they ask me, okay, where are you from? I say I'm half from Kano, half from Lagos.
Not only that it nurtures dream, it creates dream. It's a home for dreamers. Those who dream big will achieve big.
It lives true to its original history, a history that goes back many centuries, where she was already doing business with the Europeans even before colonization, where she was already an international trading post. And people must do well to understand that what is its commercial flavor is rooted in its history. It's not a gift of the creation of a state. It is actually the creation of a state that...
Lagos ranks with Greater London metropolis, which accounts for almost half of Britain's GDP. It can also be compared to Boston, New York, Washington Corridor, and the Arcadia City in Los Angeles, California, extending to the Silicon Valley, which accounts for at least 1/3 of America's economy.
It's become a wonderful city, a city of global, a city-state really, of global reference, international reference. When they benchmark things across the world, you will see that Lagos is always on the benchmark.
Lagos remains as Lagos, forward-looking, economically buoyant, in politics very sound, in fiscal development you can't beat it.
is still very much so, still living to the expectation of the founding fathers.
So we had dreams, and the dreams have come true.
As one of the fastest growing economies in the world today and the 5th largest in Africa, the Greater Lagos megalopolis is already emerging. The state is bursting beyond its brinks, thus redefining the urban reconfiguration of Nigeria.
I keep saying to strategy makers in Lagos, and I've had the good fortune of being involved in an intellectual way with the development of strategy for the state of Lagos, that you shouldn't think of Lagos as a megacity. Think beyond the megacity idea. Think of Lagos as a megalopolis, where from here through Ibadan is considered to be one urban center, and you can create in Ogiri a whole new town that is based on Lagos.
And that was why during my tenure I said we must help Ogun. We must surrender to Ogun the taxes that are due to Ogun that are being paid to Lagos, which we did. If Ogun prospers, we will do better. If Ogun suffers, we will suffer. And so, all of the satellite communities that can stand on the cusp of the boundary between us, and I see that post office, that partnership between Ogun and Lagos, and competition too, continues, is healthy.
Indeed, the development of the big, bold and ambitious Eko Atlantic City in Victoria Island has already altered the configuration. Sitting on a total area of 820 hectares or 8,200,000 square meters, the city, arising from the luxurious present of the Atlantic Ocean, combines residential, commercial, financial and tourist accommodation in a location fully serviced by state-of-the-art infrastructure.
By year 2007, 2011, Lagos was going underwater. You wouldn't have FVI by now. Look at the Eko Atlantic. Go there. Enjoy your picnic.
The Eko Atlantic project is a very, very strong statement of public infrastructure commitment and renewal.
Nigeria is not the one going to the world. The world is coming to Nigeria, and it's coming to Lagos.
All of the right seeds have been sown by government after government. They will just begin to germinate in the fullness of time.
With waterfronts fast rising as choice locations for development of the real estate worldwide, Eko Atlantic City is poised to become the next generation property hub in Africa, hosting about 250,000 residents, while another 200,000 commuters will flow there daily to work. The various development projects being undertaken at Lekki, Ekpe and the Badagry axis would also complement this.
People will continue to accept a progressive government who have bold endeavors, bold, serious courage to dream, to actualize, and to progress.
Lagos must continue to remain bold, ambitious, and audacious.
As Lagos joins the network of the 100 resilient cities through a certificate of admission issued on Tuesday, 7th February 2017, it is already responding to the need to develop strategies that would ensure that the state continues to thrive in the face of growing challenges. One of the response is the Lagos Smart City Project, an idea conceived to extend the Dubai Knowledge Cluster model to create a network of interconnected, self-sustaining, knowledge-based communities that drive a knowledge economy.
The story of Lagos is more or less the story of the black race. Beyond the fact that Lagos is a cosmopolitan state right now, Lagos boasts of the real rich culture and heritage of Nigeria. Yet it's not as old as you are with other mega cities, but we just think that the brand Lagos is emerging in a way that the world has to take note of what is happening in Lagos.
For the leadership and the people, this will form the basis for moving into the future as it continues to tackle various challenges in the quest to build a globally competitive state. This commitment to face the future with uncommon positivism will be the sure step to sustaining and building Lagos State, the center of excellence and the state of aquatic splendor, into Nigeria and Africa's pride. Lagos State, 50 years and still counting.